Hi everyone, it's Nicole and I'm here with the last page kit that I had put together to go to my crop back in April. This is actually a double page spread, and that's the last layouts that I made during the crop. And so this is layout 20 and 21. Now this two-page sketch was actually a sketch from Scrapbook Generations. I had ordered some stuff from them about 3 or 4 years ago, and they were having a special that weekend that whoever placed an order that was more than, let's say, $50, they would send you a free page kit sketch. And everything that was included in there was a photo of the two-page sketch and a sheet that also gave you the sketch and all the dimensions, and the pattern papers. There was just enough pattern papers to make the two-page sketch. Now there was no embellishments. So really the only thing that I had to do while putting my page kit together was just find embellishments, because the pattern papers, I knew I had enough to do that two-page layout. And then when I looked at the sketch when I was putting my page kits together, I just looked at how many photos that I needed, and whether I needed one horizontal, how many 4x4s I needed. So this was one of the easiest page kits that I put together. So one trick that you can do for putting page kits together is, if you have sketchbooks or anything like that, is to go through your sketchbooks and maybe find some one page sketch or a two-page sketch, and add those to your page kits, so that when you sit down at a crop, you really don't have a lot to think about. You can just look at your sketch and start cutting. Now, I knew that this was going to be the last layout that I was going to complete before it was time to pack up and leave for home. So for the rest of the page kits, I was pretty much going in the order that I had labeled them. So page kit number 1, 2, 3, 4, and I went up to 19. And then when I knew, okay, well, it's getting to be that time, we're going to have lunch, and then we're packing up and then going home, I decided that I wanted to do the two-page sketch, because I knew that was going to put me over getting, over 20 pages done, and I was happy with that. Now, when I have something like this, and you're basically, your whole backgrounds are all done, I start with that. So I took the pattern papers that were within this kit. I was looking at my sketch, and like I said, they did give me a sheet of that had all the directions on it, but they also took a photo of what it should look like once it was all put together, and I had that also out. And then also on the sheet, it had the dimensions. That pattern paper, it said to cut it 7 by 12, and then to cut that little pattern paper piece at 1/4 inch, and the other one with the polka dot at 1 inch. And then they had put in a few sheets of pattern papers that were cut aparts, and the cut aparts were part of the embellishments, if you want, for these two-page kits. And they also offered, other layers and stuff. So this is the left-hand side of the layout, or the two-page layout, and I have one photo that's 4x6 that is horizontal, and the other one I cut it down to 4x4, and the rest of that layer at the top is just 3x4 cut aparts, and then one of them is about 4x6, and it covers the entire top of the layout. And then, like I said, no embellishments were part of this kit. So when I put this page kit together, I just made sure that I added my own embellishments. And because some of these sketches, they basically just give you sort of the foundation of your layouts. And then when I looked at that, I said, okay, what can I add to this layout as far as embellishment foundation? So of course, I took one of my 3x4 cards, the Project Life cards, and I'm going to do a little cluster right there. And it's going to give me some room also to do some journaling. I love those viewfinders. They came on a My Mind's Eye pattern paper. I just cut them all apart. I love using pattern papers that have elements like this on it. And instead of just using a big chunk of that pattern paper, I just end up cutting that pattern paper apart. And, you know, I paid $1 for that pattern paper, and I was able to cut maybe 25 to 30 of those viewfinders, and then I cut them in half, so I got double the use even more. So I got even more viewfinders because I cut them in half. So I got a ton of embellishments out of that pattern paper. I just, some of them that I love cutting apart. There was one that I still remember. It was from, I think it was My Mind's Eye also, or maybe it was crepe paper. But it was all tickets, and they were all attached to each other, and I used those so much. And then there was another sheet of pattern paper that I had that I really loved that were doilies, and then there's some that have cameras all over it. So when you take a sheet of pattern paper, just that is quite busy like that, look at it and see if you can cut it down and use it as embellishments. Okay, so the left side of the 2-page spread is done. So now it's on to the right side of the layout. And for this one, I'm going to have one 4x6 photo that's going to be at the very top left of the layout. And then I'm going to have two 4x6 vertical photos, and they're going to be at the bottom right of the layout. And then this pattern paper here, I'm pretty sure they had this already cut down to the right size. They basically only give you the amount of pattern papers that you're going to need to make this layout. Like, I didn't have almost anything left over when I was done these 2-page spread. I had maybe a few of those 3x4 cards, but everything else I ended up using. So that was kind of nice. It was kind of nice to have a paper kit that I just, once I was done the layout, it was like, okay, I used up pretty much everything that was in there. And because it was a 2-page spread, I ended up using a lot of embellishments that I had put together for this layout. Another thing that's fun is when it's a sketch like that, I already know how everything's going to go down because I'm looking at a sketch. So instead of moving stuff around for half an hour, as soon as I grabbed that second side of the 2-page spread, you saw I just started gluing everything down, and I love that. I find that the page comes together quickly. Like, I did a 2-page spread, and both sides of the layout just took me a little over an hour. And I think it's because, there wasn't any ideas for your embellishments. So I basically, when it came down to the embellishments, I had to kind of come up with that on my own. But still, I find that putting 2 pages together in just a little over an hour, that's pretty amazing. So I'm going to use, again, a viewfinder on this side of the layout. I had that blue flower that I used half of it on the other side of the layout, and I'm going to use the other half on this layout. Now, I had this octopus, and a lot of these embellishments, I find, they can be a little sort of childish, but I don't know, I really liked how it turned out on this layout because I had so much going on, and because this was pictures of in the Caribbean, it worked out perfectly. Okay, so just to let you know, for all these page kits that making the page kits and then putting them into layouts, it's all together in one playlist, and I have all layouts on the playlist. Now, I had 10 page kits left when I came home from the crop. So what I'm going to do is when I put those page kits together, I'm going to do them here on YouTube. I'll also add them to the playlist. So eventually I'll have 30 videos for all the page kits. So that's it. That's going to complete this layout. And if you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit subscribe. And if you're enjoying these videos, if you wouldn't mind giving me a thumbs up and leave me a comment down below. And I want to thank you so much for watching. Bye.